Welcome back to TalkNorth.com. Thank you for listening. If you can, please download before you listen. It helps our business. I'd also like to thank our producer, Brandon Morton, and let you know if you'd like to sponsor this program or any of the programs on the network, you can reach me at jsouhan47@gmail.com.
Good news, Jim. Eric Holla hasn't scored yet tonight.
How do you know this?
I just looked at my NHL app.
Okay, I was saying, you better check back every 5 seconds or so.
Is that the first time in 218 episodes that I said the first thing?
I think it is, actually. It took me completely by surprise.
Yes, I know.
It was
Except when I was hosting with Anthony LaPanta.
Did you start that one off?
Yeah, I did. I think so.
Anthony LaPanta let you talk?
Yeah, he did. It was nice. You know what? Anthony was almost the guy here tonight.
I know. If the Twins had played a Game 4, Anthony was going to sub for me, and that would have been cool. The
only possible way that Anthony wasn't going to be here was if the Twins got swept.
I know.
Or I guess if the Twins swept.
Yeah, that too. And thank you to Anthony for being willing. We will get him on the show here soon. I do like it. I do like having him on the network, so we'll figure something out and get him involved. And I know you and Anthony need to spend more time together during the season.
Yeah, I know, definitely.
Any good Anthony stories for me?
No, really haven't seen him that much yet.
Really?
They only did the one road game, and
that's right.
And AJ, his son, lives out in Colorado, so they spent a lot of time together. But so far, Anthony and I are getting along. Just give us a couple weeks. We're good for 2 blow-ups a year.
I did watch some of the Wild Predators game when I was in New York, like between assignments. I caught it on my hotel room. It was on some weird network. I don't know how I got it, and I watched Zucker have a couple grade A chances, not convert, and then all of a sudden it's 4-2.
NBC Sports Network's not a weird network.
I guess you're right. Well, it's not a weird network, but I hardly ever watch it unless the Wild are playing on it.
I got it.
So I never turn on that network unless I seek it out because the local team's playing on it.
Yeah.
The only local team that plays on it is the Wild.
Yeah, I got you. 0-2 start. They're just easing their way into the year. Everything will be okay.
Don't want to pull a hamstring.
But yeah, I mean, the disappointing game was the game in Colorado because they're down 2-0. Boudreau calls timeout. It kind of looks like Boudreau is just going to town on him, but actually, if you ask the players and Bruce, he really wasn't like lighting them up. It was just that arena at that point was so loud that he couldn't hear himself think, so he was just screaming, and it just gave the impression that he was going crazy, but he was just trying to chill him out and get him playing. And then they played really well the rest of the game. First 10 minutes of the third period, I think that they weren't great, but I think Colorado deserved a lot of credit there. But then the Wild started to play really well there. The final 10 minutes of the third had a ton of chances, just couldn't score. And it's just a shame because the Wild actually did, at even strength, a superb job against that McKinnon, Landeskog, Rantanen line that night. And then just one bad shift where, a confluence of really strange things happen on the shift. And so the Wild wind up flat-footed. You allow Colorado, their best line, to go east-west in the offensive zone, and usually that's not going to end well. And a couple players got really crossed up. And it really starts, it was the old adage that if when you have 5 guys on the ice, if one guy is not doing his job, how it could screw up absolutely everything. And really the beginning of that shift, when Ryan Donato got back in the zone, you could just see that he got really confused on didn't make the right read, got really confused on what his responsibility was, and then there was just an absolute breakdown. You have Zuccarello that collides with Ryan Graves. Now all of a sudden Brodin kind of panics. He's got to play a 2-on-1 down low between Landeskog and Rantanen, which isn't easy. Spurgeon, because Donato is not doing his job, Spurgeon's got to really make a quick decision on what's the thing that he could do most to alleviate the pressure. And so he looks up and sees McKinnon, and he's like, well, I'm going to go to the most dangerous player. And then the breakdown happened is that when Brodeen's playing the 2-on-1, Donato, instead of recognizing that Spurgeon was going to McKinnon, Donato doesn't go down low to Landeskog. He just wheels up north in the middle of nowhere, and just kind of all of a sudden you have Landeskog all alone down for a tap-in, and you just knew. I mean, that was going to be the game, and it really was. One bad shift at the end of the second period doomed them, but they played really hard that night. You know, they gave their old cliche that if they bring that effort every single night, they're going to get a lot of points. But the reality is that the same thing that we've seen from the Wild for many years plagued them. And in the third period, they had incredible scoring chances and just couldn't score. And the last half of the first period, they also had really good scoring chances and couldn't score. So, you know, they're just not going to magically start. I mean, that to me is always the concern. Anytime you go into a year, it's like every single time you hear a team talk about internal improvement and wanting, you know, this guy's got to be a 20-goal scorer and this guy's got to be a 25-goal scorer. You're just almost always going to be disappointed. And it's 2 games into the season. It's obviously really small sample size, but I just don't see, you know, Cunnin, Eriksson, Fiala, Donato, and Greenway all of a sudden becoming just breakout stars this season. A couple of them have really disappointed me the way that they've started the season, actually.
I'll ask you who specifically is disappointed you. We should introduce the show. This is the Russo-Hockey Show. I'm Jim Souhan from the Star Tribune. He's Michael Russo from The Athletic. We're live at Tin Shed in Savage. You can find their website at tinshedmn.com. And if you go there, you can find out about all their specials. Thanks to our other sponsors, Twill and the Edina Galleria, fixologyrepair.com, Tony Hoagland, your State Farm agent, and Bite Squad, bitesquad.com. To let you know about Tin Shed, they have, first of all, always have Michael Russo's picture on their website. That's very exciting. Their phone number, 952-736-2444. And they have buy one, get one free Pizza Mondays. That's any size, any toppings, all day long. Kids 12 and under eat free all day, every day. 50% off lunch deal, Monday through Friday, 11 to 1. The entire food menu is 50% off the purchase of any beverage. They have a new 2-for-1 happy hour, Monday through Friday, 2 through 6, and every day, 9 p.m. to close. They have some other specials that I'll get to a little bit later in the show. But it's been just a really nice place to hold the show. Lots of space, as you can tell. When we get huge crowds, everybody can find a seat. When it's not quite as huge a crowd, you get spread out a little bit. The regulars are always here all the time. We do appreciate both everybody who shows up to the shows and Tin Shed for hosting. Dumbo's look good, right? I want to bring up something positive early in the show, and Dumbo's look good.
Yeah. I like the colors. I've never noticed it before, the colors of Brandon's soundboard. It's like black and blue. I'd wear it as a watch. So anyway... Don't you think
so it's going to be a random kind of show. That's okay. I'll just stand back and just see what you... Does anybody have anything sparkly or maybe a set of keys they can hold up to distract Michael?
Yeah. Dumba's playing well, and that is a good sign. And you just hope that the forwards catch up to the D. We've talked about this before for years, and even Dumba after the game the other night said, look, it's the same story that we've talked about for years. I mean, the offense is driven by the defenseman. Dumba looks like he's going to have an outstanding season as long as he can play healthy. He was on the way to that last season when he was injured December 15th. He's just hammering the puck. I was talking to Brad Hunt. I'm working on a story. I don't know if I'm smart enough to write the story, actually. Might need to hire a physicist, maybe Philip. So I'm doing the story that I was talking to Brad Hunt about, and I'm going to sit down with Dumba about as well, is just on how it's humanly possible, from a physics point of view, that guys as small as Brad Hunt and Matt Dumba could shoot the puck the way they do. And Brad Hunt was absolutely fascinating about where he gets his power from, and he was talking about how his hand grip is absolutely weak, but it's all comes from lower body and the way that he kind of opens up for these shots. But what he was saying is that he just gets the puck and hammers it. Where Dumba's got a gazillion different types of shots in his arsenal. He's got so many different wrist shots, so many different snap shots. Obviously, he can hammer the puck on one-timers or just take a traditional slap shot. He could lift his head, pick a spot, and we're seeing that every night. And we're starting to see the penalty kills of other teams look at him as the lone weapon.
That's what I'd do.
And that is something that hopefully, if you're the Wild, will open up avenues for other players to be successful on the unit that Matt Dumba is on a given night, whether it's the first or second unit forwards that he starts out with. And you see that. I mean, with Winnipeg, with Washington, teams try to really overcompensate to shut down guys like Laine and Ovechkin. And all of a sudden it creates open looks for other players. And so what the Wild power play really needs to start doing is recognizing that he is getting fronted every time he gets the puck. And what makes Matt so special and so dangerous on a power play is that he's got such great footwork that it doesn't matter if he's being fronted. He can slide left, slide right, kind of get lost because he's so mobile. And so far so good with Matt Dumba. You're right. I mean, he's absolutely been a bright spot to start the season.
So Brian from Tin Shed said he's going to draw on our next show here is October 21st, 7 p.m. And Brian is going to draw for Wild tickets. He's going to give them away that night. So fill out the little sheet up here, put your name in. You have a chance to win. Also, we're open for live questions anytime somebody wants to come up. And either the first or the best live question gets this nice little Joe Mauer hat. I don't know if there are any baseball fans here, but Joe's kind of a hockey guy, so it all works out. But remember, October 21st, 7 o'clock here, we will draw for free Wild tickets that Brian from Tin Shed is giving away. Also want to thank Twill in the Edina Galleria. You can find their stuff on Instagram. I want to make sure you have the right handle, Twill Edina. Twill Edina is their handle on Instagram. And Brandon, instead of running the usual ad, I'm just going to tell people that this Friday, October 11th, they're having at the Galleria, they're having their fall Brax, that's BRAX, trunk show, and you get 20% off when you purchase 2 or more pairs of Brax. I own, I think, 4 pairs of those. I wish I had waited for the sale, but it's a brand made in Germany, and the stuff. I just had a 6-day trip to New York, covered like 5 games. Went out to dinner with my wife. I think everything I wore was stuff I bought. And I don't have a trade deal with Twill. I spend my own money there. Everything I wore was Twill because it just wears well. You can get off an airplane, you can walk around town, and it isn't wrinkled. It looks nice. You're comfortable the whole time. I highly recommend it. Also, Trask shoes, Trask. I've got 2 pairs of those, including a pair of boots that I wore all week in New York. It's just stuff that'll last forever. So I highly recommend that. Twill in the Edina Galleria. Tell Scott Dayton or any of his staff that Talk North sent you, and they'll be friendly either way, but they'll probably be even friendlier if they know that you know us. So check them out. So 0-2. In some sports, that feels like a death sentence. How big a deal is it mathematically in the NHL?
Well, St. Louis won the Cup last year, and I think they started 0-2.
I thought so.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nobody can accuse me of being negative.
Exactly.
That's what it comes down to. I believe. Do you? So
I think we need that as a soundbite.
It's not a death sentence, but this isn't football. They haven't played 1/8 of their season. See, I'm able to do math sometimes, and so the big deal now is taking advantage of this week. They've only, it's funny because they've had 4 days off, but only 2 practices. But you're going on. You have Winnipeg that just opened up with a 4-game road trip. They're in Pittsburgh tonight. Right now, I think the game is. I think they're actually up 3-1, which is amazing considering that they are really demolished on their back end. Obviously, this offseason they traded Tyler Myers. They traded Jacob Trouba. Dustin Byfuglien is right now AWOL. And all of a sudden, you open up the season, you suffer a couple big-time injuries, most notably to Josh Morrissey, who got hurt in the final exhibition game against Minnesota. So they're up 3-1, but they're coming back from a home opener, long road trip. They're they're obviously going to be excited for the home opener, but the old adage of the first game after a long road trip is always the hardest. I mean, they could very easily come out flat against Minnesota on Thursday night. And they have a blue line that is extremely, extremely thin right now. So if you're the Wild, you have to take advantage of that. You have to. Bruce says all the time that you have to go at them. You can't stick your toe in there, and that's what the Wild haven't done in both the first 2 road games. is, first 5 minutes in Nashville, they take 2 penalties. The shots are 9-0 by the end of the first 7 or 8 minutes of the period. Dubnyk had to be unbelievable to keep them in the game. You go to Colorado, and it's 2-0 within 5:52 or 5:57 of the first period, and you have to battle back that game. So they've got to